Thank you again. I am filling in for Meg Phillips, who recently left us. So these are her results and recommendations for the 2017 ISAW. This was the 4th annual ISAW campaign. Our theme this year was shared with the national campaign, Invasive Species Reality Check, where we are and where do we need to go. We had a new website this year, stoptheinvasionni.com. So Meg collected a lot of data. She used 2 SurveyMonkey online surveys. The event organizer, she had 58 respondents, up 19% from 2016. And event participants, 154 respondents, up 60% from 2016. So she also utilized QR codes, so folks could complete surveys using their smartphones and tablets, which is really cool. So summary results, 8 PRISMs, Invasive Species Council agencies, advisory committee organizations, and partner orgs hosted 151 events over the course of 7 days with more than 6,000 participants in attendance. So 62% of these events were created specifically for ISAW. And this is a 20% increase in the number of events from 2016. And it's also a 20% increase in the counties participating from 2016, which is very positive to hear. So geography-wise, we had events in 81% of New York State counties, which is great. Counties that have yet not to participate this since ISAW began is Allegheny, Orleans, Tioga, Madison, Chenango, Lewis, Fulton, Columbia, and Montgomery. But still really positive, it's up from 62% of counties participating from last year. So event types. As you can see, display or exhibits at public events is our highest number. Presentations, invasive species removal projects, again, most popular event types, which is the same as 2016. There's increased proportion of plant and animal workshops, city science program trainings, and IMAP invasive trainings. A few of the organizers wrote in that they hosted film screenings of the HWA documentary, or Making Waves, which is a documentary based on Great Lakes invasives. So survey and removal restoration projects. We had about 5 acres surveyed, 11 acres controlled or restored. 13% of those projects reported survey data to IMAP invasives. 36% of projects reported treatment data to IMAP invasives. So I believe we have a picture here of volunteers harvest honeysuckle and February Daphne at the Adirondack Interpretive Center. Some of the species surveyed or controlled throughout ISAW: garlic mustard, pale swallowwort, bittersweet, honeysuckle, curly-leaf pondweed, starry stonewort, multiflora rose, water chestnut, knotweed, iris, floating primrose willow, wild parsnip, and February Daphne. So events by date, it has been pretty evenly distributed throughout the week. As you can see, it's pretty even, which is great to see that it's not all just concentrated on, Fridays or Saturdays. It's just spread throughout the week, which is nice. So then participants. Participation levels were comparable to last year. However, more 2017 events drew 100 plus participants. So these larger events included the IPM conference at Siena College, the Empire State Plaza Farmers Market tabling event, and other large tabling events, all-day events at Tupper Lake Wild Center, book displays at public libraries, and live broadcast presentations by Dr. Stuart Finley, etc. And up next, here's a photo from the IPM conference at Siena College on the 13th of July. Yeah, this day-long event featured talks by staff from DAM, NISRI, DEC, NHP, and the Office of the Governor, Cornell, PRISMs, etc. Very cool event. So event duration. So there was an increase in duration of ISAW events between 2016 and 2017. It's possibly indicative of participants willing to spend more time learning about or working on invasive species issues. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold here. Bear with me. Participant user group affiliation. As you can see, most folks identified themselves as hikers, campers, private landowners, and gardening and landscaping enthusiasts. Meg noted here that participants were allowed to check more than one user group box. Organizers responded that their target audiences were mostly, quote unquote, everyone, about 57%, private landowners, about 34%, hikers, 21%, and college students, about 21%. Very few organizers, only about 4%, reported targeted outreach to water gardeners and aquarium owners, which are target audiences for the strategic plan. Interesting fact. So moving on to the participant skill level here. So participants were asked to rate his or her knowledge before and after attending an event. So change in knowledge and skill level is relatively consistent from year to year. It would be nice to target audiences that have even less pre-existing knowledge about invasive species. And Meg noted she had a question here, where would we advertise to engage those types of people who have limited knowledge on invasive species? Up next, we have familiarity with Part 576 regulations. As you can see, in 2017, about 64% of people said, yes, I'm aware of these regulations. 21% said they were somewhat aware, and about 15% said, no, I haven't heard of these regulations. In 2016, there were about 50% of participants were aware of the regs, while 40% were somewhat aware and less than 10% had not heard of these regs before. So how did participants learn about these events? Word of mouth and direct email invitations were the most effective way to engage the public. In 2017, we also included a note about ISAW and a link to the statewide calendar in the April issue of the Conservationist magazine. Also, we have social media, website, PRISM listservs, et cetera, et cetera. So where did organizers advertise these events? Again, a lot of folks went to the ISAW calendar, social media, the websites, the listservs, as well as other ones listed here. Other responses included stuff like flyers and email lists. So professional licensing credits. Participants were asked which professional licensing credits are applicable to their work. 77% of respondents chose other and typed in a response. Most of these individuals responded that credits were not applicable to them. The ISAW webpage pertaining to licensing credits only had about 17 page views. So Meg noted that next year we need to do a better job of letting folks know that this resource exists. We can also add to the list based on other responses that we received. So social media highlights. I helped Meg coordinate this on the DEC social media web pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Pretty successful this year. One of our most successful posts on Facebook was our giant hogweed wild parsnip posts. It reached about 500,000 people just on that post alone, which is really cool. Lots of shares. And you can see all the other metrics, pretty successful. The range, obviously, is pretty wide, from 500,000 to 3,000. So it's just interesting data to have. And so we know what to do better for next year. Social media continued here on Twitter. DEC has less followers on Twitter, far less on Facebook. But nevertheless, it generated some buzz during ISAW with 129 retweets and 123 likes. Again, not surprised here, but giant hogweed and wild parsnip was the most retweeted and liked post that we put out there. So hashtag throughout the week on all of our social media outlets, we use the hashtag NY Invasive Awareness. Meg noted here that for next year, she recommends using a hashtag tracking application available through hashtracking.com or another website to gauge the scope of influence of hashtag use. So it looks like here Meg included just a quick Google search of hashtag NY Invasive Awareness here, and all of our DEC stuff came up first, which is great. Good to see. So here's some Mormon fuzzies that Meg included that some folks included on their surveys. Folks were asked, would you attend an event of similar nature again? And a lot of folks had positive feedback. Yes, I believe in taking what may seem like small steps to help better our environment. Someone else wrote, this event was both educational and satisfying. I'm glad to have helped. One of my favorites, yes, citizen science is so cool. But yeah, some really great feedback, so it's nice to see. So Meg here had some recommendations, and Meg and some of the organizer and participant feedback surveys produced these recommendations that she had. So broader discussion of what the general public can do to combat invasive species, more practical hands-on instruction, more efforts to encourage communication between scientists and non-scientists, more programs geared towards children, engage New York State master teachers, advertise earlier on statewide platforms, additional information about treatment and management of species, and disposal methods for invasive species. Here's a photo of Dr. Finley at the Science on Tap bar talk series. About 60 participants came, so it was really cool to see. So gaps and needs for organizers. So here's some recommendations for Meg. Tabletop displays. Meg actually ordered these cool invasive species banners, Invasive Species Awareness Week banners. No dates on them, so they can be used from year to year. They're about 2 by 6 foot vinyl banners, and each cost about $40. She said she would recommend ordering at least one for each PRISM leader for 2018. And other recommendations here, gaps and needs, EAB and ALB specimens, fact sheets, brochures, plant specimens, waterproof AIS identification booklets, ISAW themed poster or banners, advertising, methods and timing, enough staff to give presentations, and increased participation by local landowners and government. She also noted here that Jared Klein, the intern here at DEC for the Invasive Species Unit, created an Excel spreadsheet with additional context of who might be able to give presentations on invasive species, including CCE, Master Gardener volunteers, and Audubon chapter contexts. LCBP, AWI, APIP, Sea Grant, DEC, LCRI, and others gathered at Lake Champlain Research Institute on August 4th to swap and prepare specimens for educational purposes. Excuse me. And let's see. Oh, that's us at the farmers market. And here's some more photos from throughout the state, some really cool ones. I believe that's on the left there, is a gentleman from Audubon. I believe in the middle there is the folks from the Wild Center in Tupper Lake doing some lab work, giant hogweed folks. I think we have Kathy and Willow here and Meg in the corner at the New York State Library. Very cool. Who I am also joined here. I forgot to mention Willow and Kathy are here with me. And that brings me to the end here. So if you guys have any questions and comments, please let me know.